Welcome to episode 10 of the Gravity Cancel podcast. We're your host, Sergeant Spade Cakes and Rocks. Rocks, how you doing today?
Howdy, doing pretty good.
Good to hear. Well, we've made it 9 more episodes than I thought we would. And by my math, that puts us at a number 10. And we did a guest episode number 5 with Barendipitous. And we thought, why not do another guest episode? So today, joining us is Cobalt. Cobalt, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. I showed Rock some of your videos. He seemed to really enjoy it. He's not too savvy with your content, so I won't spoil it. We'll save that for a bit.
That's okay. Not very many people are too savvy with my content, so it's okay.
Actually, I did watch probably about 10 of them going into the last 2 episodes of Showdown. I was trying to
you were
sharpen
trying to get
my
some
blade.
So yeah, Cobalt's probably heard us talking about Showdown, and it's a little bit of a plug for us here. But we're doing a every week we have a 3-match contest. So, and we're going in order of legends. So, like first week was Bodvar, Cassidy, who is it, Orion?
Yeah, Orion.
And then we come up with our best outfits for that character, best weapon, color, skin.
Gotcha.
And we do a vote on each. We do a vote on the skins, and then we play the matches. And once we get through all the legends, the winner of, or the loser of the matches has to donate $100 to the opponent's charity, and the loser of the whoever gets the least votes on the legends has to donate $100. So ultimately, one person can donate $200 to the opponent's charity.
Are you refusing to use the word drip?
Yeah, I'm refusing to use the word drip.
It's a drip contest, man. That's go to the Brawlhalla subreddit. It's always under Brawlhalla drip.
It's a costume contest.
It's a drip contest.
Oh Lord.
So we did have a bit of news. We'll talk about it more in depth next week as we get more reveals. But the Battle Pass reveal was today. What did you guys think of that?
I liked it.
To be honest, I think they've given a fair bit of skins to Mordex.
I agree with that.
I'm totally down with the theme. I like some of the lore myself. So Legend of the Exalted Lion stuff was pretty cool, but yeah, I think Mordex has gotten his fair amount of love.
I think we need to chill with the Mordex skins now. All we needed was a human Mordex skin, and we got it. And let's just leave it at that.
I do like that
I'm
aspect.
in agreement.
And Diana was killer.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
the signatures.
And the candles melting on her horns, that is just such a touch.
That was such a nice detail. The animators really just go so freaking hard whenever it comes to the signature effects for those custom SIGs. It's crazy.
Now I look forward to seeing what else we get out of it. Look forward to seeing the taunts. The taunts and the battle passes are always really good.
Yeah, I'm curious about the colors as well.
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited for.
Yeah. That I'm
Colors
super
are good.
excited for. And then another thing I'm excited for is we'll probably get a Jala skin, because Jala was part of the Exalted Lion. And there's a bunch of people that were part of it.
I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. Even Nash is in it, and Jiro, which
Jiro's not
another Jiro skin.
Jiro's not getting another skin.
He's gotten quite a few recently.
Yeah. So Cobalt, why don't you give us a brief introduction on yourself? People may not be familiar with who you are, what you do, your background. Just tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I would not blame them. My channel is still quite small. But my name's Cobalt. I'm a YouTuber, and I make videos basically covering Brawlhalla frame data, detailing the stances and the different various effects that it has on characters and their signatures and things of that nature. So basically, I don't know if you guys want me to go ahead and go into frame data and stuff like that, but
not yet. So you also have some videos on Smash Bros. So are you like a platform fighter player in general? Or
so I can give a little bit of history. So
yeah, that'd be cool.
About I guess it was like 2014, whenever the Smash 4 came out for the Wii U. I started playing that with some of my friends, and then I got really competitive into that whenever I was in college, and played LAN a lot with that. Met a lot of really great people that a lot of whom I still keep in contact with. So I played Super Smash Brothers for about probably 6 years competitively. And I still play Ultimate on the Switch and everything like that, but it's become
the lag.
What's that?
The lag. The internet connection's so bad on that game.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry. Yeah. I thought you were talking about my audio. I was like, oh shit.
No. It's ultimate.
Oh yeah, no. It's downright awful. I played it for the first time last night in probably a month with one of my friends, and it's awful. And even like Brawlhalla servers haven't exactly been the best as of the past couple of days, but
no,
it's significantly better than Ultimate, and it's so hard for me to want to continue to play it whenever the online is as bad as it is.
We'll get back to in-person games soon, hopefully. So
yeah, man, I hope so.
I also saw one of your videos. You did a comparison of Rivals of Aether as well.
Yeah, no. I love basically any platform fighter I can get my hands on. I thoroughly enjoy, and I love platform games in general. Like Hollow Knight is one of my absolute favorite games of all time.
Oh, such a good game.
It is, man. It is. I'm gonna do a review on it at some point, but I really like the aesthetic and the simplicity of the gameplay, and the thing that I like about games like this is it focuses very heavily on movement and mobility, and I feel like that's something that I can grasp more firmly in a 2D fighter versus a 3D game. I would play 3D shooters with my girlfriend, and those are more. I mean, she's really good at 2D fighters too, but she's significantly better at like shooters than I am. And every time we would be playing, she would tell me I would just be like looking around randomly because I couldn't tell where anything was coming from, because I'm not used to having to rely on sound or audio to pick up on stuff.
You're like, catch these hands and smash.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly.
So you want to give us a brief explanation of frame data for the viewers that are not aware of the different parts of a move?
Yeah, absolutely. So on a given character, each character has what's called a hurt box, which is the point at which a opponent's move can actually connect with them. And in Brawlhalla, that's usually simplified to just a circle that kind of vaguely outlines the character's frame, basically. And then frame data itself corresponds to specific attacks, and it's typically broken down into 3 segments. There's startup frames, which are the amount of frames after the move has begun until an active frame or an active hitbox comes out. And the hitboxes, whenever those are out, those are called active frames. And active frames are the points of an attack where your move can actually make contact with an opponent. And then that is followed by the end lag, or sometimes referred to as cooldown, which is the amount of time after a move has finished, after the active frames are done, that you can't move, you can't do anything else. And then at the point whenever the end lag is done, that's what's referred to as the FAF, or first actionable frame, which is the amount of time that you're able to actually move again after the move has started.
Very concise.
I do have a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I didn't know this, with the hurt boxes being just the same circle. Is it typical in most fighting games that different characters have drastically different hitboxes or hurt boxes?
It varies based on the character's size and based on the game. So in Brawlhalla is one of the more unique platform fighters in that capacity, in that every single fighter has the same dimensions, right? So like there's not a character that's larger or smaller than another. But in a game like Smash, you have a character like Pichu who is tiny, and you have a character like Bowser or Ganon who are just massive hulking frames. So it's like it's pretty common amongst other fighting games to have the character's hurt box specifically be larger, to correspond better to their character model. And in Brawlhalla, there's not really much of a problem with that. Now, I will say this. Now, Brawlhalla's hurt boxes do tend to kind of be a little bit awkward when compared to others, because there are certain ways that the hurt box shifts where it doesn't actually line up with the animation. Like certain attacks will do this. Like in my Rivals of Aether versus Brawlhalla video, I actually talked about this very briefly and showed a slight clip of it. And there are points whenever, like specifically whenever you're doing a weapon throw, for instance, your character's head will just jut out forward as they're making the throw, but that head, as it's extended out, is actually not part of your hurt box. So you can't actually be hit, like if somebody hits your head. So it's kind of awkward in that capacity.
Yeah, it stays the same for like almost everything, but some signatures change the hurt box shape a bit.
Yeah,
like squeeze it a bit, or Yeah, but
Yeah.
for the most part, it's just that one circle in the middle of your legend. It is
Yeah.
kind of awkward to get used to, especially if you're used to like Smash or any other fighting game where it tends to follow the shape of the character as opposed to being some amorphous concept.
Right, exactly. And like characters like Mirage, for instance, whenever she dips down into the sand to do some of her signatures, the hurt box shifts to be almost completely flat with the ground, so it's almost impossible to hit her whenever that Sig is going.
Yeah, I like to try to figure out ways I can abuse those, but I'm not very good at it.
Yeah, I think the best way to do it is probably with a weapon throw, to be honest.
Yeah. So let's get into some questions for you. So, Rox, I'll let you have the first official question, but we did a little fun thing with Baron on episode 5 where I had a little surprise question. So, Cobalt, I got a little surprise question for you.
Thrill me.
Who are you going to main on Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl?
Oh, Reptar. There's not even a question about that. Are you kidding me? Man, like that was as soon as I saw. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I saw it, I was like, oh, this is interesting. It's gonna be cool, and it's like it's kind of like what is it? Super like Slap City? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's the same devs. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw, and I was like, okay, so this will be fun. It's probably not gonna be super competitive or anything like that. And then I saw Reptar, and I was like, okay, I gotta give this a shot.
And it's gonna have better netcode than Smash.
Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started, man. It makes me so sad that they have rollback for that game and they don't have it on the Switch. Like, ugh.
Yeah, I'm either a Reptar main or a Patrick Star main. We'll see.
Hey, there you go. Both good choices.
All right, Rox, hit him with the first question.
Well, actually, one thing that
go ahead.
I was going to bring up one thing before we got into the questions, just because I noticed we didn't have any questions pertaining to it. But one thing that I'd mentioned that I'd been watching some of your videos. I know Spank Cakes was a little bit more what word I'm looking for? Familiar. Knowledgeable. Well, yeah, but
debatable.
Familiar with your content, but the last 4 videos you put out, you've got me to completely stop using dexterity stance, and then I used to be the guy that put strength stance on everybody. So now I don't even use strength stance. It's mostly just defense stance.
I'm actually going to be doing a pretty deep dive on the dexterity stat, because one of my viewers actually pointed out there are some variations based on the weapons and on the attacks that you use. So I'll save that for later. That's one of your questions later. So I'll save that for later to talk about what I'm doing later.
Cool.
Perfect.
Cool. All right, hit him up, Rox.
Oh, yeah, that was my turn.
That
Who
was
is
you.
your main and what draws you to them? Sorry, I butchered that one. Whoops.
No, you're good, man. So, my main is Caspian. Actually, I've been playing him since I started the game. In Super Smash Brothers, I play Little Mac, and I was reasonably good. I was ranked 6th in my region whenever I was at the peak of my competitive play whenever I was playing Smash. And so whenever I got into Brawlhalla, I like quick and close-up styles of combat, and so Katars and Gauntlets both fit that, and it actually kind of surprised me. I thought I was going to be more of a Gauntlets main, but Katars are actually what draw me in more than Gauntlets. But those are my 2 favorite weapons. Well, I wouldn't say my 2 favorite, but they're 2 that I enjoy a lot. Katars are probably my favorite, and Gauntlets are probably pretty close up there as well. And I like Caspian Sigs a lot. Like I love command grabs in Brawlhalla, so it just makes it work for me.
Okay, so
you could hear me audibly grunt, but go ahead.
No, okay, so I do want to ask you about how you define a command grab in Brawlhalla.
Hold on. You're not gonna say anything about that, Spade Cakes?
Yeah, Caspian has the best gauntlet signatures in the game.
Oh my gosh. One of our recent podcasts, we made tier list of like the best legends for each weapon, and this guy put Caspian as the best gauntlets in the game. And
of course I did.
I was mauling because he's not even a gauntlet main, and I am. And I was throwing stuff in my room. I was calling him a psychopath.
I mean, his Sigs are pretty strong, man. With the exception of down sig on his gauntlets, I can list you a slew of reasons why they're insanely good.
Let's hear it.
All right.
Listen, I still think Petra's got the best gauntlets.
I'll disagree with that. But So Caspian's neutral sig on gauntlets, for instance, the amount of active frames that the bomb extends upward and lingers is actually longer than Caspian's FAF. So he's actually able to move prior to the hitbox's ending. So, for instance, I could throw out a neutral sig on gauntlets and then dash back before the bomb explodes.
So cool.
So that's one thing, and it catches people's dodges really well because it actually lasts longer than the frames of a dodge. And it's just an insanely good sig for covering platforms, for covering jumping opponents. It's just really, really good, and it doesn't even have that much end lag on it. Honestly, like it's significantly better than I ever thought that it was going to be whenever I was actually reviewing it.
Oh,
pretty crazy knockback too.
I like this conversation way better when it was a matter of our opinion, not facts.
Fair. So you did mention command grab. How do you define a command grab in Brawlhalla? Because it's not like a typical command grab in like a fighting game.
Yeah. So how command grabs work in Brawlhalla as opposed to a different fighter is whenever an active frame comes out for a command grab move. Let's take down air on Scythe, for instance. Down air and neutral air on Scythe both function as command grabs because whenever your active hitbox collides with an opponent's hurtbox, the remaining active frames they disappear essentially, and then it goes through a throwing motion that's not propelled by a hitbox essentially. So whenever you see Mordex down air a character with Scythe, and then you see him kick the character away, there's no hitbox actually present whenever he's actually kicking them away. So it's an animation that the characters go through that doesn't have a hurtbox or anything of that nature associated with it that you would typically associate with a move. Whereas other moves like like a side light on Katars or something, for instance, all of the hitboxes for that move go through regardless of whether it hits or not. Now some moves function differently on miss than they do on hit, but like all of the hitboxes stay there during the animation and during the actual attacking of the opponent.
Yeah, I was always curious about it because, for me coming from like a traditional 2D fighter background, command grab's always an input and then it's a grab off of an input as opposed to just your normal 1 or 2 button throw. So. Oh, okay,
I gotcha.
Is that a Smash thing too? Like, are there there's command grabs in Smash, right?
Oh yeah, there absolutely are. In Smash, I'm not as sure about how the hitboxes work in relation to that because in Smash you aren't able to actually view the hitboxes in the game. We actually have an online resource for that called ultimateframedata.com that actually provides really, really good information about that. But I'm not sure if the hitboxes actually cancel during those instances. But it functions comparably, yeah.
Cool. So we talked a little bit about your stance videos. What is your favorite stance and least favorite stance for your main?
So favorite would have to be either base or speed. Katars are one of the few weapons that actually slightly have some benefits whenever you're running them based on dexterity. So like if I'm running Caspian on base stance, he has 5 dex, which is not terrible. Like there are certain combos that you just can't do on really, really low dexes for Katars, but it's not that big of a deal usually. So I usually run either speed or base, and then least favorite obviously is dex.
Of course it is.
I hate dexterity. I hate dexterity so much in this game. I could rant about that for an hour.
You swayed me just like you did Rox, because after he mentioned that, I went and watched it. I'm like, you know what? Why am I wasting this stance?
Yeah. Now I will say this: like, there are moves that function differently based on dexterity. The one that I picked for Hammer just unfortunately happened to have the exact same FAF no matter what. But there are moves that function differently whenever they do collide with an opponent on hit, based on higher dexterity stats. So I want to get that clear, and that'll be covered in a future video.
Cool. I can't wait to see the follow up on that one.
Yeah, it's a long one. I'm covering every light attack on every weapon on every dexterity, so it's gonna be. It's a doozy. I've got it's probably like a 300 line Excel spreadsheet, and it's going to be probably like a 40-minute video.
Wow. Okay, that's gonna be awesome. Rox, your go.
So what was the little spark? Like, what was the reason that you decided to start making frame data videos?
So in Smash, I use ultimate frame data a lot. Actually, it helps me to figure out what combos are true for me, for my character, and it helps me kind of visualize where my opponent needs to be, and in terms of spacing, where I need to be in order to avoid it. And I noticed that there wasn't really a place where I could view comparable resources for Brawlhalla. And now everybody has access to the training mode in Brawlhalla, which is frankly phenomenal. The training mode for Brawlhalla is really, really good for giving you everything that you need to know in order to be successful. Excuse me. But I just noticed that there wasn't a place that had readily available resources for players to gain access to that without actually having to go into the training mode and view it themselves. So I was really kind of hoping that my videos would basically just be a catalog of frame data for people to view whenever they needed to get some input on a character, or I'm struggling with Orion's side sig on Lance. What does the hitbox for that look like, and where do I need to be to avoid it? That kind of thing.
Awesome.
Right. Rox, you mentioned using some of those videos for like showdown prep. Would you? Did it help you out? Because you were landing some Sigs with some characters I didn't know. But maybe it's just me being bad then. But you were landing some signatures that I was not expecting you to hit me with. Dumb luck.
Know what you're talking about. I don't know if you were there when we played showdowns, but actually we shouldn't spoil it because the podcast comes out before that episode.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
But I did watch. I watched a lot of Hattori. I rewatched the Hattori one quite a few times, and funny enough, I didn't even. No, that's a spoiler. I'm sorry. Let's say
Let's save it.
I watched the frame data for 2 of them and not 1 of them, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I got you now. Okay.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. Let's go with, what are some of your favorite signatures?
I like command grab Sigs a lot, like I've said before. So I like Caspian's side sig a lot on gauntlets. I like Mordex's down sig on gauntlets. Petra's down sig on gauntlets, and I like anything that is a command grab. I enjoy now, and I also like certain Sigs for their animation style. And a lot of these I didn't notice that they did the things that they did until I slowed them down.
Yes.
And saw them. So like on Wushang, for instance, whenever he does one of his side Sigs on gauntlets, there's actually like whenever the chi basically comes out of his palm, it's in the shape of his hand, and it's like the detail and the animation for that is just really, really cool to see. Mako, whenever she does her neutral Sigs, the water that comes up to grab the opponent is actually in the form of shark jaws.
That's so cool.
It just those little touches and those details like that just make me really appreciate that. I'm like, oh, like whoever animated this, like this goes so underappreciated because you can't see it and it's only present for like 3 frames, but it's just like the level of detail, and I'm like, it makes me really appreciate it. Oh, and I also really love Jiro's neutral sig on Scythe.
Oh yeah, that one's a good one.
That's
really
one of my absolute favorites.
Speaking of Mako signatures, I'm going to put Spank Cakes on blast for a second.
Oh my gosh.
This man played a full week of nothing but Mako.
Okay.
And he had no idea, not a single clue, that her Qatar down sig was movable. Like it was mobile.
I thought it was just like carrying my momentum. Not that I was actually changing the direction of it until I actually did it in the opposite direction of my movement. I'm like, whoa. But yeah, I played her for probably, several hundred matches. But yeah, glad I found that out because I really like her more now.
Did you know that her neutral sig on Qatar's is also an active
input?
Sig?
Yeah, you can flip the direction. Yeah. Yep. That one took me a little bit because it's not intuitively obvious either, but it's so good too.
Oh yeah, no, there are some that I had no idea. Like whenever I made my video on Fate, I had zero idea that her orb signature had an active input. I had zero idea.
Oh, the bow or the side
Yeah,
sig?
yep. The
Both?
one with the ribbon. Yep.
You do know the side sig one has active input, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
That one,
okay.
that one I knew about, but it's just I had no idea because some of them just look like they shouldn't be.
Yeah. I'm asking the expert over here if he knows about a signature.
Like
Well, I mean, I didn't about that one. So
Petra's side sig on gauntlets has active input. For some reason, you can launch them up instead of.
Yeah, it's
Cross.
weird.
yeah.
It's good. It's weird.
I forget about it until I do it on accident.
You're like,
I mean,
whoa.
if it's
Good.
not useful, you just kind of forget. About it.
Yeah. All right, Rox, hit him.
You want me to hit him with a question?
Hit him with a question.
All right. So we just did favorite signatures. What signatures are unfairly complained about? I'm struggling. I still got pre-workout running through my veins, and I'm just going faster than my eyes can read, my mouth can talk. What
That's
signatures
okay.
are unfairly complained about or not as good as people make them out to be? I'm going to start off to give you a little bit of a prompt.
All right.
Artemis' side sig on Lance is busted. It's too fast. It comes out so fast.
Well, her side sig on Lance is obscenely fast. It comes out on frame 15, so it's one of the fastest sigs in the game in terms of where its active its active frames come out on, and its FAF is only at 54, which is less than a second. So it's around average or a little bit below, and then its startup is pretty quick as well. So like for instance, the average startup on every signature in the game is 19, and then the average side sig startup is 20. So it is a tenth of a second faster than the average in terms of startup.
Wow.
It's quick, and reacting, I feel like, to certain sigs in Brawlhalla is significantly more difficult. At least for me, it is. Like in Smash, I can just hit the R button, hold shield, and I'm good. You know, it's
Yeah.
like in here, I don't know what it is, but being evasive is a little bit harder for me for some reason. Now, the thing is, there are several reasons that people hate signatures. Some of them
Yep.
come out too fast. Some of them have very, very little end lag, and some of them have just a hell of a lot of active frames. So for instance, Wushang, his side sig on let's take Spear for example. It is frame 16 and is its startup, and then it ends on frame 43. So it has significantly lower end lag than most other SIGs because it doesn't convert into its third hit on miss. So it's one of those ones that is really, really easy to spam whenever you're at a distance, and it just is what it is, and you almost have to respect it. Now, in terms of signatures that I think are probably unfairly complained about, I think Scarlet's side sig on Rocket Lance and her neutral sig on Rocket Lance are actually probably a little over dramatized.
Yeah.
Because the hitboxes on those are actually only present on the tip of the Rocket Lance. It doesn't have a huge amount of hitboxes. It's about the same amount as like a side air on Rocket Lance. Which, I mean, that's a that's a different topic for how busted Rocket Lance hitboxes are. But like her down sig on Rocket Lance, for instance, is enormous. It's really, really freaking big. And you know, there are certain sigs that are like that throughout the game that are, you know, just hard to deal with. I think some of Orion's sigs can in some way get a little bit of a bad rep. Like, for instance, his neutral sig on Spear is really freaking good. It has 15 frames of startup, and it kills insanely early, and it has hitboxes just about everywhere. So it's insanely good. His side sig on Rocket Lance is a little bit more easy to deal with, in my opinion, and considering how much end lag it has, it's not that bad, at least for me. But the SIGs that people complain about in this game are complained about for a reason, I will say. So if people are complaining about a SIG, there's probably a little bit backing that up. If whether that be it's hard to punish or it comes out too quick or whatever. I will say this as well. All of the Sigs in the game, neutral Sigs come out the fastest.
So default to neutral Sigs if you're just looking to spam.
Basically, they're the quickest, and the fastest neutral Sig the fastest Sig in the game is Cassidy's neutral Sig on her hammer.
Really?
Is that the one with the rope?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh. Comes out. It only has 10 frames of startup, and it comes out on frame 11. And on miss, it has an FAF of 40, which means it lasts 2/3 of a second, and then you're able to move again. It's brokenly quick.
Actually, hard agree with Scarlet. I lost it for a second. I hard agree with Scarlet. Not being as broken as people say the signatures are, because we just played a match with Scarlet and
we were not hitting anything.
We were not hitting anything. My main complaint was Scarlet, because I do hate Scarlet.
I despise her as well. Don't worry about that.
It's just the weapon combo. I hate Rocket Lance. It's got way too high of priority for such a big, boxy weapon.
It's an abysmally designed weapon. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm glad we're on
agree.
agreement there. And then hammer, I just don't like, because I don't like hammer players. I mean, that's all I can say. I'm an
Fair enough. And I mean, even some of her Sigs on hammer, like for instance, I can't even remember which one it is. I can't remember if it's side Sig or down Sig, where she like swings it forward and then it can hit on ledge.
Yeah, it's side Sig.
Side Sig. The fact that can swing around and hit on ledge is still just busted to me. I really hate that, honestly. But, other characters have unique properties on their signatures, like, Val with her sword being able to climb up the wall. Like, gotta give them something, so I can understand that.
Is it my turn? Yeah.
Sure is.
Sure is. What signatures have the best frame data or characteristics?
Well, we kind of briefly touched on that, but
we kind of just talked about that, yeah.
But neutral Sigs tend to have better frame data than most, with Cassidy's N Sig being the fastest, both in terms of startup and end lag, and then and then signatures that are command grabs also tend to have pretty good priority and pretty good ability to actually connect with the opponent, because even if the just like a tiny fraction of that hitbox connects with the opponent's hurtbox, sucks them in, and the command grab goes through. And on a character like Caspian, how I play, it really helps me with his side Sig, specifically on gauntlets. And Sigs, I think that, like Wushang's side Sig on Spear, I'll reference again. On miss, it only does, like a single swing. But then on hit, it does like 3 or 4 hits, or however many it was, and deals quite a bit of damage and quite a bit of knockback. So any Sig that is only like a single hit on miss and converts into multiple hits on hit, I think functions really well, honestly.
Yeah,
actually,
I like
thing. So Spancakes brought up earlier that I had hit him with some signatures I usually don't use whenever we recorded our last episode of Showdown. And now thinking about it, after he asked that question, I realized that because of your video pointing out that I used to never use Hattori's down Sig on a sword where she like tumbles backwards and then jets forward.
Oh, yeah.
I never really hit it until I realized that you can actually hit people that are standing behind you, because you roll back into them and hit them.
Yeah,
so I did start using
those
that
passive
a little bit more.
Sigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I almost forgot about this. Sigs that offer characters mobility are really, really good. Like Yumiko's Sigs on bow, where she jets forward. Bryn's neutral Sig on spear. Let me see, what else did I have? Thor, his his Sigs are just insanely ridiculous. They're weird in general. They're absurdly huge and have ridiculously weird properties. Like the one where he goes down with his orb. That has an initial hitbox on it, and then he can hold it and charge after that hitbox has come out before the next hitbox comes out. So it's just got it's got very weird properties to it, and then not to mention like his neutral sig that shoots him 50 feet in the air. It's just it offers him so much mobility, and then all of Rayman's sigs, just all of them.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Rayman
use
runs so much.
Petra's Gauntlet side sig to travel often, and then I'll use whenever I'm playing Zariel. I don't really play bow well, so usually I'm trying to escape when I have the bow, so I can throw the bow and pick up a different weapon, or pick up gauntlets. So it's his side sig, or their side sig, is killer on bow for traveling, and then his neutral sig on gauntlets, the one where you like jump up in the air and slam them on the ground. I'll use that to position myself for like jump over their heads and then hit them with a side air. So I'll use it for positioning as well.
Yeah,
those are signatures that I'll use with no intention of hitting someone with it, but I'll use it to travel. So I do like that you brought that up, traveling.
Yeah, mobility is a huge thing in this, and any sig that kind of there's if you have a stationary sig, it can be good. Like Caspian's sigs are proof of that. Like most of his sigs are stationary, but they offer him good utility, and then. But like I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I think down sig on Katars isn't as bad as everybody thinks that it is. It's great for mix-ups.
Yeah. It's hard to hit.
Yeah, no, it is, and nobody expects it. Like, and I can throw it out in neutral, and it will connect with somebody because they never expect me to actually throw it out, because it offers me the ability to get away from whatever they're doing while throwing out an active hitbox that allows me to kind of escape. And some people could say, oh well, that's a dumb option, so it doesn't mean it's good. And I'm like, well, it works.
That's the signature that you like jump up in the air and then throw the Katars down at the ground.
Yeah, that's the one.
I get caught with that one often, especially when I'm playing gauntlets, because I always try to with gauntlets I just often approach with a sidelight, and I get caught in that signature all the time, which is part of the reason why I've started most of my approaches with down air with gauntlet now.
Fair enough.
The good old down air gauntlet approach.
Oh yeah.
I think it's your go, Rox.
All right, what weapon combination are you most excited about that doesn't yet exist?
That would be Scythe and Katars.
Yes.
I've recently been playing a lot of Jiro. I think he's really freaking badass, and I've been playing him a lot more, and I never thought that I was gonna get good at Scythe, honestly, and I still don't think that I am. Don't take that to mean that I'm decent with Scythe yet, but I've gotten a lot better than I thought that I was going to, and it's just a fun weapon to play, and I like Katars as well. I mean, that's my main weapon, and I'm just looking forward to having both of them on one kit, and I really just hope that I like the Legend. I hope that they have good SIGs, because there are some where, I was really looking forward to, like, the specific weapon combination, and then I didn't jive with the character.
That's how I am with Rayman. My two best weapons, Gauntlet and Axe. I cannot stand playing as Rayman.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
And it's actually funny because in our prediction episode, was that last week's episode or the week before?
Yeah, speculation. Yeah.
Yeah. So the speculation episode, that's one of the things we talked about, weapon combinations coming in the future, and we both picked 3. And I was the one that I'm expecting we'll get is maybe Orb Sword, but I think what I said in the video was that now that Reno came out, because he's Orb, I doubt we'll get Orb Sword. Oh my gosh.
Orb Sword.
Orb Sword. But I brought up Katar Scythe and how that is going to be the sweatiest legend we have ever seen.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong.
You think Vortex players were sweaty? You thought Diamond Azuri players were sweaty? No. Nope. You just wait.
The thing about Scythe is it's one of those weapons that it's got a slightly higher skill floor than most weapons, but like once you hit that like basic concept of it, you can dominate a lot of people that it would take a lot more work with a different weapon to dominate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think there's a common misconception that it's, I'm not going to say it's easy, because it's not. It's a hard weapon to get a grip on, but I think that once you do, it opens up a lot of doors for you.
Yeah, once you,
like you said, skill floor.
Yeah, the skill floor is just ever so slightly higher than other weapons, but it pays off dividends.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is just my curiosity here because I'm not too involved with the Smash community, but how do you think the Smash community compares to the Brawlhalla community?
That's actually a little bit of a tough one for me because I've experienced them both in different ways. So with Smash, the only way I've experienced that is attending tournaments. I went to weekly tournaments at college. They had locals there every week that I went to. I was really involved in the scene. Made a lot of friends there that, like I said, I still keep up with today. And I traveled out of state, across state with them, and stayed at their houses. Their parents cooked me food. It was an experience that I really enjoyed, and a good way of making friends for me. And that's one thing that I absolutely miss about college is doing that whenever I was there. So for me, like, I equated Smash with a lot of my friend group whenever I was in college. Whereas Brawlhalla, I've only been to one LAN tournament for Brawlhalla, and the only reason that I actually went to the Brawlhalla tournament was because the Smash tournament was there, and it was free to enter the Brawlhalla tournament. So I just went ahead and I was like, you know what, I'll sign up and see how it goes. I mean, I went 0-2, but I wasn't expecting any different, honestly. So
I'm surprised you were able to find a Brawlhalla LAN event.
Oh well, this was about 2 years ago.
It's still impressive nonetheless.
Well, it was a major. It wasn't a local. It was a major.
Okay. I gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like I thought they just like took over the local local gym or something and were playing Brawlhalla.
No. It was actually Low Tier City in
nice.
2019.
Okay.
So it was a good tournament, and I watched most of it, and it was a good time. But most of the experience that I've had with Brawlhalla has been online. So I haven't really gotten to experience a whole lot of the community in the same way that I do with Smash. So it's kind of a hard comparison for me to make. But
my curiosity there was like, so obviously Smash is pretty much all in person, with the exception of like the Dolphin emulator for Melee and
Slippy and everything.
Yeah. So Brawlhalla, I feel, has like a big disconnect in the community, and like it's kind of weird how there's like pockets of Brawlhalla communities, kind of like there are locals for like Smash, but they don't ever intermingle. Like I don't know, I obviously don't know where you're from, but like I'm in Arizona, and like the Phoenix Smash scene, they'll travel down to Tucson and play with them, or up to Flagstaff and play with them. But you don't really see like intermingling between Brawlhalla communities.
Oh yeah, no, that's very. I'm in Texas, and that's very prevalent here too. People from Houston will go up to the Dallas Fort Worth area and play, or go to San Antonio, or go to Austin. Like whenever I was in school, like one of my buddies lived in Austin, or his family was from Austin, and we would go there and go to the locals that they had there, and his parents would cook us food. It was just a good time, and I don't hear anything about that in Brawlhalla, and
no, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that the reason for that is at least in part that the game is so accessible, and that's a double-edged sword, because whenever you have a game that's playable from anywhere on any device, and they have an online ranked system, and then they host tournaments, and all of those tournaments are online, there's not really much of, I don't know, I feel like there's a less...
why would you go somewhere to play it whenever you can just play it in the comfort of your own home?
Exactly. And I think if Smash Online was a little bit better, we probably wouldn't be seeing as many of those tournaments. But unfortunately, we don't have that. So
it's almost ingrained in the culture. I don't know if that it would ever like truly transition to an online environment.
Yeah, I think I think that Smash in general has started out as such a grassroots community. Whenever Melee originally came out and the tournament scene developed there, and getting into Evo and all of that stuff. Like, if you guys haven't watched the Smash documentary, I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic piece of media. But there's a distinct difference there, because games like Smash well, specifically Smash, was never intended to be a competitive game. That got turned into a competitive game, and Nintendo actually made it a more of a competitive game by trying to turn it out of a competitive game. And then Brawlhalla is the exact opposite. It's designed to be a competitive game. Like, I mean, a lot of fighters are, but the devs are more invested in this game than I see virtually any other fighting game dev. And it's really impressive to me, the level of interaction that they have with both the viewers and content creators and all of that. And it's crazy how much money that they pull in. You know, now they're a part of Ubisoft, and you know, it's really good, and it's nice to see the devs actually putting time into the game in a way that's beneficial for the competitive community. So,
I'd even go as far as to say, you know, beyond the fighting game devs. I mean, just game devs in general.
No, in general.
Oh yeah,
never
absolutely.
ran into a group of devs that care so much about their game.
Yeah, the only other one that I would put at a comparable level is probably Dan Fornes for Rivals of Asia.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
And I know this is completely off topic, but Rivals they had a character workshop in the game where you could create your own character for the game, and that's been out for a couple of years now. And later this year, they're adding 4 of the best fan-made characters into the actual game, which I thought was an incredibly cool thing to do.
That is really cool.
And 4 is pretty big for that roster too. I mean, it's a smaller roster, so like 4 characters created by fans.
Don't get me started on roster size.
Fair. Yeah, Dan Fornes is great, and I'm looking forward to that update, and then the eventual rollback update.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And to be honest, I can really only play Rivals on the PC because on the Switch, I bought it for the Switch just to see how it would run. And the online there is just as bad as it is for Smash, man. It's not just Smash. It's just Nintendo.
Switch. Yeah, it's the Switch.
Well, yeah, I mean they're running on servers that they've had since like what 2008. I don't know. It's bad.
All right, Rox, hit him with the next question.
All right, so this is kind of becoming a theme with guests. I guess I can't really call it a theme since we've only had 2 guests. But I don't know if you noticed, our podcast logo is our mains, Yumiko and Bryn.
Petra.
Or Petra, sorry.
Yeah, I caught that. I assume that was why that question was listed.
Yeah. So
I assume I'm either going to be settling a bet or an argument of some kind.
More just an argument. I lost the Baron conversation, and that was just who had more interesting lore. But who, in your opinion, has the better signatures, Petra or Yumiko?
Yumiko.
Oh my god.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
She does something no one else does in the game.
It's Yumiko, man. It's Yumiko. On Petra, okay, so like I love Petra's signatures. They're really freaking cool, and they remind me so much of DBZ. And I like you know that was what the influence came from. Like if you've seen my video on Petra, like you know where that came from. But all of her sigs have, you know, like they're not that bad on startup, but they have a lot of end lag. They're lengthy, and they have a lot of kill power, but that's about it. And Boomy has used her to great success in the competitive environment, so I think she's a great character. And I think that she's still incredibly viable, but I think Yumiko's sigs are just better. Like between the passive sigs that she has with the flame, you know, it literally forces your opponent to either approach or, you know, approach more carefully or not approach at all, giving you stage control. It's instant stage control. And then the mobility that her bow signatures offer her, not to mention how quick they are, is, you know, really nice.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
But my consolation though is the fact that I don't think anybody's ever won a tournament with Yumiko. So,
Boomy's used her quite a bit as well. I can't remember what bracket he used her for. He didn't use her for very long. That was whenever he was on Yumiko is the best character train. It was at CEO Dreamland. That's what it was. and he used her to pretty great success at that tournament. I don't remember if he won with her or anything like that, but he used her pretty well in that bracket.
I'm also a firm believer that about 98% of Yumiko players play her wrong. And I'm by no means the best Yumiko player, but I believe that they play her wrong and don't abuse her wisps enough.
I think that those are probably the best, probably some of her better signatures, simply because, like, for instance, her downstig on Hammer, it comes out on frame 31, and her FAF is frame 40, so she can move again after.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. What's up, baby?
I'm gonna take tea.
Okay, sweetie. But yeah, no. So like she's able to move again really quickly after starting that signature, and puts a lot of pressure on the opponent just by dealing a passive active hitbox. It's insane.
I guess.
I guess. No, those are cold hard facts. This wasn't a question I had on here, but I was thinking about it as we were talking about our last guest. One thing I like about your videos is you throw those little tidbits of lore in there.
Oh yeah.
What inspired you to do that one? Because you could just go straight data and that's it. But you throw that little fun lore in there and you kind of comment on it a bit. So like, why'd you start doing that?
Well, whenever the first video that I did, it was for Caspian, of course, and I really, really like Caspian, and so I was really curious about where the origins of his character are, because I just hadn't known anything about it previously, and then whenever I did that, it just stuck,
Did we lose you? So,
but where were we?
Yeah, we were talking a bit about Caspian. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Episode 10.5 of the Gravity Cast.
We were talking about why you incorporated lore into your videos.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I got curious with Caspian and how his lore actually related to the game and where he kind of stood in that regard, because I didn't really know, and I was like, this might be a fun little tidbit just to throw in at the beginning. It's kind of a hook to get people watching and to kind of let me learn more about the character, and then it stuck. So I just kept doing it, and then it became just part of the format before I kept going.
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot because I don't take time to actually go read the lore, so just like a little bit of information in a bite-sized video is perfect.
Well, I'm glad that you enjoy it, man. And something interesting is Caspian is actually related to Volkov.
Really?
Yeah.
Rox, did you know that one?
Yes.
Yes, of course you did. So,
and that wasn't a dig at Cobalt. That was a dig at you. We had the lore daddy himself on, and you were just like, right. I don't care about lore. I turned the music off when I play the game. I'm too busy listening to Nickelback.
I just listened to the sweat drip down my forehead. That's all I listen to. So the final question for you: what upcoming projects or videos are you working on? Give yourself a plug.
Well, like I said earlier, I'm working on a deep dive on dexterity, so I'll be covering that one pretty shortly. I'm hoping to get that out within the week. The audio is just taking me a little bit longer. The script for it is like 17 pages, so I'm having to record it in pieces because it's hard to do all in one sitting whenever you have family around and that kind of thing. So that's been the biggest challenge in that regard. But then I'm also working on a video titled "The Perfect Platform Fighter." And so what I had planned to do with that was kind of take elements from every single competitive platform fighter that I enjoy and kind of merge them into a single working title. So for instance, have shielding and most of the mechanics and the visuals from Smash, but incorporate some of the mechanics like wall cling or gravity canceling from Brawlhalla, or like hit lag from Rivals of Aether, or wave dashing from Melee, stuff like that, and just kind of merge those into a single game and give the player the most freedom of movement and creativity that they could possibly have.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I look forward to that one. And you're going to talk about how all the characters should be from Nickelodeon shows.
I don't care where the characters are from as long as the roster is small. But
So
Reptar would be on my roster, yeah.
He'll be your crossover character.
Exactly.
So you like a smaller roster size?
Yeah.
What's your
for
ideal
real.
number?
I'd say 20 or less.
I agree with that. I think, with Brawlhalla, it's kind of different because of the weapon combinations.
Absolutely.
But a game like Smash does not need, 70
80 characters.
Yeah, whatever it is now.
And there's a difference between how the game is designed. If you're designing it to be purely a competitive fighting game, then I think a smaller roster is better. It allows the meta to develop at a more healthy rate. It allows people to get better matchup experience. Because in Smash, like, I don't know anybody that plays Richter or Simon.
No.
I don't know an Olimar player or a Yoshi player. Like, I have zero matchup experience in that. And I'm sure that somebody else can probably say the same thing about Little Mac. And it's just. It's hard to get matchup experience like that. And like you said, with Brawlhalla, it's easier because you really only have 14 combo trees that you really need to know. You need to know one for every weapon and for unarmed, and that's about it.
A rough idea of signatures and how they work.
Exactly. So it's significantly more tightly woven than it appears initially. But I would say probably something comparable to like Rivals of Aether or basically every competitively viable character in Melee.
Yeah, I think the smaller the better, especially for balance purposes. So.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of roster size, I agree 100%.
All right, well, I think we're sitting right at an hour. Rox, did you have anything else?
Not really. You guys are a lot smarter than me when it comes to fighting games. This is really the only one that I play. So.
Well, you can pick our next guest, something more your pace. This is episode 10, so episode 15 will be the next guest episode, hopefully. Do you think we'll make it to episode 15? I hope we do.
I mean, I had no suspicion that we wouldn't. So, like, do we need to talk after this recording?
No, we're good. But I think we are going to look at moving to every other week for podcast release. Try to let some news build up and whatnot, especially during slow weeks.
Yeah, especially since we're kind of gearing towards putting out more content other than just the podcast. We can only talk about how Yumiko's signatures are really good for defense, and there should be more legends with similar signatures.
And our lore is so good.
On
and
so many
Yumiko
podcasts.
is just really good.
I feel like we bring up Yumiko's Sigs every single podcast.
It's Yumiko's Sigs and you complaining about how strong Hammer is. Those are the two constants in our podcast.
True.
All right, Cobalt, thanks for joining us. Hope you had a good time. Look forward to...
Yeah, not a problem, man. Thank you guys for having me. I really enjoyed getting the opportunity just to vent, frankly.
Hey, if you ever want to come on and vent, we'll make a special guest episode somewhere off of 5 episodes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, that would be great.
All right, till next time. Peace.
Oh, you're not going to let me do the outro? All right.
Oh, no, you want to do the outro? Okay, you can do the outro.
No.
Go ahead.
No, that's it.
Cut mine
That's
out.
the outro.
Okay.
Bye. I love goofy outros like that.
That was a blast.